Hi, I'm Tom English, and today's lesson is on solving equations. You'll notice, at least I hope you can notice, that I have the lady with the scales of justice. You've seen her blindfolded, holding out the scales. And I like people to think of that when you think of equations, because what she's doing there is showing that the scales of justice are equally balanced in favor of the defense and the prosecution. The idea is both get all the fairness and so forth. And we want to do that same thing with equations. There's an equal sign, a left side and a right side. And the left side and right side, for that equal sign to be true, must always have the same thing happen to it. So if you add something to one side, you must add it to the other. If you subtract something from one side, you must subtract it from the other. If you multiply or divide, you have to do the same thing to both sides. And we'll go over a couple simple programs here, or equations, to emphasize that. Let's start with the simple equation 3x plus 2 is equal to 8. Well, the idea is to solve for x, the unknown. And to do that, we must get x by itself on one side and everything else on the other. So the first thing you should be thinking of is, okay, I've got 3x here. I'll leave that alone, but I want to get rid of the 2. How do I get rid of the 2? I do the exact opposite. If it's a plus 2, then I'm going to subtract 2 from this side, and when I do that, I end up with 0. So I'll just bring the 3x down. But if I subtracted 2 from the left side, I must also do that to the right side. Over here. So now we have 3x is equal to 6. Well, we don't want 3x, we want x by itself. So we have to get rid of the 3. How do we get rid of the 3? This says 3 times x. What's the opposite of times? Divide. So if we divide this side by 3, then the 3's cancel and we end up with just x. But again, what's our rule? Whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. If we divided this side by 3, we have to divide the other side by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So there we've solved a fairly simple equation with one unknown. X is equal to 2. Let's complicate it a little bit. And let's say we've got x on both sides. So I took the same equation, but I put an x on the right side as well. So somehow we have to get that x over with the other, and then everything else to the right side. Well, if we want to get this x away from here and over to here, what do we have to do? To get rid of it here, our rule says do the exact opposite. What's the opposite of plus x? Minus x. So if we subtract x from both sides, what's our equation look like now? Well, 3x minus x is 2x. So 2x plus 2 is equal to now just 8. Because plus x and minus x cancel each other. But now what do we want to do? Well, we want x by itself, so we want to get rid of this plus 2. How do we get rid of that? We do the exact opposite. So if this is plus 2, if we subtract 2, it goes away, doesn't it? But if we subtract 2 from one side of the equation, we have to subtract 2 from the other side of the equation. Now what are we left with? Now we have 2x on the left is equal to 6 on the right. We don't want 2x, we want x. How do we get rid of the 2? Well, this means 2 times x, doesn't it? What's the opposite of times? Divide. So if we divide this side by 2, the 2's will go away, and we're just left with x. Well, if we divided the left side by 2, what do we have to do to the right side? Divide it by 2 as well. 6 divided by 2, so x is equal to 3. One thing I'd like you to always do, though, you get an answer, put it right back into the original equation and see if it checks. So if I say 3x that means I'm substituting 3 in place of x, so that's 3 times 3 plus 2. Is that equal to 8 plus x? And x in this case is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2, does that equal 8 plus 3? Yes, it is, because they're both equal to 11. So we've checked it. We know we've done our work correctly. Thank you.